Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 9. We want to present about the sport hall. And here is my groups, Muhammad Alvyn, me, and my colleagues Muhammad Rafi Aulia, and my colleagues Rafli Maulana Akbar. And here is our system analysis. Depok City's Youth Sport Hall is a significant event management firm. The organization organized several sorts of hire sport courts. The sports hall management understood that manually maintaining that much data was challenging. As a result, they devised certain data system to aid in the process. A function and many functions are offered as a source of output data that has been processed by the system. So that all corporate activities may be quickly communicated and the danger of data mistake is reduced. And here is our entities and attributes. For the entities and the attributes, I will explain it one by one. For the customer, there are attributes or ID customer name, team name, and number phone. And for the entities employee, there is ID employee, employee name, address, gender, and number phone employee. And there is transaction, ID transaction, date transaction, ID field, price, quantity, total. And for field, there is ID field type, and price. And lastly, there is schedule, which is ID schedule, ID field, date play, and hour. And my friend Rafli Maulana Akbar will explain the ER diagram.
Okay, here's the IR diagram that we applied to this sports hall model. As you can see, there was some entities on this. There was customer, there was employee, there was transaction, there was field, and there was schedule. And all of the entities have an attribute that attached to them. Same as the previous, my partner was explained. Every entity has an attribute attached to them, and as you can see, you can look to our ER diagram carefully. All of the entities already has an attribute on them. It's already on the ER diagram. And next, we move to the tables. Our overall number of table is 5, and right now we are looking to the table structure. There was customer, there was employee, transaction, schedule, and field, along with their attributes with them. And next, my friend Rafi Aulia will explain the another section.
Okay, so I'll explain about first NF tables. This is the example of one NF table. Before, obviously, there's ID transaction, date transaction, ID customer, and name of the customer. The TR001, it's the ID transaction, and the date transaction is 8th of August 2021, and the ID of customer is C001. Name of the customer is Ilham, and then etc. And here is the after of one NF tables. The ID transaction is TR001, and then the date transaction is 8 August 2021, and then the ID customer is C001, and then the name of the customer is Ilham. So much easier to read it. Okay, so this is the second NF tables. Because the properties in each database are depend on the primary key, the tables are already in second NF. The table structure is seen below, the customer and then the transaction. such as ID customer, name team, and number phone, etc. And then also there's third NF tables. Because the properties in each database are depend on the primary key, the tables are already in third NF. The table structure seen here, such as customer, transaction, employee, schedule, field. There is same as second and first, ID customer, name team, and number phone, etc. Here's the denormalization of tables. When we are going to find out when the payment transaction were made and by whom, there is an attribute involved that is extracted from the database prior to the denormalization procedure, such as transaction complete. We also look at how to find out how many transactions were made by each consumer and how much they cost. In this scenario, we segregate the various properties that are removed from the table prior to denormalization such transaction. There's the transaction tables, there's ID transaction, date transaction, etc. This is the primary and foreign keys. Each table's primary and foreign keys, where applicable, are mentioned beside the table name, such as customer, the primary key, ID customer, ID underscore customer, etc.
Oh, okay, thank you. This is our presentation for today. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.